It is New Year's Eve 2021, and I want to thank you for being a part of the Country Craft Creations New Year's Eve crop. My project tonight is going to be a popcorn box, or like a popcorn cart. And so here's an example that I did using the Yuletide collection from Blue Fern, but I will be using the collection from Country Craft Creations for my project this time. And that is called Midnight Kiss. So this is the paper I'll be using for my project, so it'll make it a little bit more cutesy and fun. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what this looked like. This has a lid that comes off, and I plan on putting like popcorn in a bag and then putting the bag inside. But it has some wheels to make it look like a cart. It's got the cellophane on the side so you can see through it. A little bit of decorating, but it's a cute presentation for giving someone something as a little gift. So it doesn't have to be popcorn, it can be something else too. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing you'll want to do is prepare your lightweight chipboard. Now if you don't have lightweight chipboard, you can use like cereal box material. The measurements for the chipboard, you're going to need one that's 5.5 by 5.5 and 4 pieces that are 1 3/8 by 5.5. Now it may be that we have to trim a hair off when we get there, but for right now cut it at 5.5. You're going to want a template. This one I used regular weight chipboard, not lightweight, but this is a 4x4 template. I'm doing this in case you don't have a Cricut or some sort of cutting machine, so I'll just do it with a square template for you so that everybody can participate. So we'll start with the base of the box. That's what the lightweight chipboard is for. And so the paper you're going to need to prepare is a piece of cardstock that is 11 5/8 by 11 5/8. I don't know why I use pink sticky notes. This always happens. And we're going to end up scoring at 1 1.5 and 3 on all 4 sides. I don't know why we're at 1 1/3. It's 1.5 and 3 on all 4 sides. So place your 11 5/8 by 11 5/8 piece of paper in your scoring score pal. So it's 11 5/8 by 11 5/8. Let me get my score tool here. I thought I had everything laid out. All right, so 1.5 and 3. Turn it one time and you're going to do the same thing. 1.5 and 3. 2 more times. Turn it once more and it's 1.5 and 3. And last time. 1.5 and 3. Okay, now we are going to be doing some cutting. Let me get this on here. So what we're going to do, I don't think I have a white pen that I can show you. Maybe I can just put a dot or something. Maybe see if this works. We are going to get rid of this, and this for right now. So on all of the corners, and when I'm looking at my 11 5/8, the 2 bottom squares are going to come off. And I do want to cut them as straight as I can. And I'm going to go to just the inside of that score mark so I don't have a ridge. And my scissors are stuck. Okay, so that's what we're doing to start. Straight as can be, just on the inside of the score mark. Now I'm going to turn it the other direction. I'm going to do the same thing. Cut out the 2 squares, cut out the 2 squares. And I think this is just an easier way to go through it instead of having to cut out everything on the corners at once. I think less mistakes will happen if we do it in little increments. So we've taken out the corners So now when I'm looking at this, I'm going to turn it the other direction, and I'm going to take out one square and one square. So when I'm looking at it like this, I'm going to take off this and this. And we're just doing one square. Again, on the inside of the score, so you don't have that ridge. See, just one square. And I'm going to turn it to the other side the same way. Alright, so that's what it should look like on all four corners. It looks like little stair steps on all of the corners. So the next thing you're going to do, I'm still looking at my paper, and I'm going to cut up on this square on the score line and stop when I get to the very first score line. So I'm just releasing that square, going straight up until I get to the score. I've released that one. I'm going to turn my paper the other direction, and I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite sides. Release the square. Now these are going to become tabs, and so that's what's going to form our box. So we want to lightly taper all of those to make tabs. So I take a slice out of each side, a slight triangle, so that it will get rid of the bulk. So now it's not a square, it's more of a trapezoid. So lightly taper at an angle. You don't have to take a lot off. Again, there's the end result, and do the other two as well. Have a little hangover there. That's gonna bug me. All right, let me throw away my scraps. So now we are going to miter our scoring marks, or not miter, excuse me, burnish our score marks. So I'm just going to bend over the paper and burnish on those lines, and you can do that to all score marks. One more. So we want the base to have a little stability and be a little bit more sturdy. So that is why we cut the lightweight chipboard. So the 5.5 by 5.5 inch piece, we want it to fit in the center. Now we do want to be able to bring up the sides without it buckling. So if you need to trim a hair off, now is your time to do it. So I just want to hold it where it's going to be, and I'm going to bring up my sides to make sure that it will fit, and it does. So I just put some score tape on the back here, and I'm going to place that in the center. I'm going to do the best I can to get it exactly in the center so that it fits well. If you have any score tape hanging off the edge, just kind of roll it towards the inside so it doesn't hang off. All right, so I want to get that as close to the center as possible. Yeah, and then I'll burnish it so it stays. You might want to flip it over and burnish it on that side. This is the black artisan cardstock, which is the only thing I use now. I used to use other papers from big stores and it's just not as durable and strong. Okay, so then the next one are your 1 3/8 by 5.5 inch pieces. Now what we're going to do is we're going to place it, and there should be just a little bit of a space. We're going to bring it up as close to the score mark at the score mark closest to us, so that we can bend this over and then bring that up. Okay, so you want to make sure that lengthwise that it's short enough. You might have to do some trimming, but bring it up to the score mark. Don't have it close to your chipboard like this. Give yourself a little bit of space. Fold that over, see if it covers it nicely with no chipboard, and it does, and then make sure you can bring it up like so. And this one fits fine, so I'm going to go ahead and remove the backing from my score tape on this one, and we're going to do all 4 pieces the same way. So always do a dry fit first to see if you need to do any trimming, and sometimes you have to. So I'm going to bring that as close to the score mark by me. And that looks good. And go around and do the same thing. So I'm going to place it up by the score mark, bring that over and up. Perfect. Now what do I do there? There it is. Close. Don't go over that score mark though. You don't want to do that. If you go over the score mark, that paper's not going to want to bend over. Oh, I forgot to do a dry run. That's fine. Okay, last one. Dry fit first. Yep. All right. So if you want, you can place your pattern paper on the bottom square, and I use 5.5 by 5.5, and I'm going to see, I might need to trim it a hair, but I did not ink my corners. Normally I do, or my edges. Normally I do, but this time for this project I didn't. Nope, I want to trim it a little bit more. So you might want to go 5 3/8 and 5 3/8. I'd rather cut it too big at first than too small. And that looks like it's going to be perfect. So now I'm going to go ahead and use my art glitter glue. This is a new bottle. I hope it doesn't. There we go. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to take a dry wet wipe. Get any glue that oozes out on the edges. Okay. So now I'm going to do the inside piece as well. So I think it's easiest to do this now, and it's okay. You want to make sure that chipboard is fully covered. So I'm just going to bring these up and make sure that it doesn't buckle, and it will be good. So this one is 5.5 by 5.5. I want it to completely cover this chipboard. I hate not using these pockets on the back of this paper, but I love the design. But when you buy the paper from Country Craft Creations, you get more than one of each sheet, so that's good. And that looks like it's perfect. Now I did leave the insides, the side pieces, uncovered. And I did that just to make sure that I could get the side pieces to fit in, and so it fit in perfectly before I put in the pattern paper. So I just did the outside, and I'll show you that what I'm talking about. So this is going to come over like so. These are all going to come over, and then we're going to put our box together. So I'm going to go ahead, you can put on, I'm afraid that if I don't do the next step first, you might put the paper on the wrong part. You want to put the paper on, when we fold this over, it's going to be this piece out here. So you can decide if you want to put your pattern paper on now, or if you want to wait until after you do this. Now, I am going to connect this with the paper, the tab on the outside, so that you don't see the edges. Some people do it to the inside, and that's fine too, but see, you can see that line where they meet. I don't want that. So that's why I'm going to put my tabs to the outside, so it's a little bit smoother finish. You do whichever way you like best. Okay. Now, I want to make sure that these are, yep, perfect. Okay, so I am going to put just some glue along the base of the chipboard. Bring that up and over. Have your handy wipe or your wet wipe handy in case you have any glue come out. And you can do all four sides like that. So nice to have a new bottle of glue. It comes out so quick and nice. One more. All right. I guess I'm glad I waited, because if we're putting this to the outside, if you already put pattern paper on here, that would not be good. So you're going to attach the sides, and then you can, if you want, you can put pattern paper on the two opposite sides and then put your tabs over and then put the other two sides. It's not hard to put them on once your box is put together. So so I don't make a mistake, I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the inside here of this tab, and then I'm going to bring it to the outside of the box, and I want it to line up as perfectly as possible to form a perfect corner. Give it some time to dry for a second. Okay, I'm going to go around and do the next one. So glue goes on the inside of the tab. But it goes to the outside of the box. Make it as perfect corner as possible, as 90 degrees as you can get it. If glue comes out, it's not a problem because it will be covered with pattern paper. And we have 2 more sides left, so I'm going to push this up. If you want to do these 2 tabs at the same time, I guess I don't have to. I'll put glue on one. Bring that up. I'm pushing the 2 sides together, this side and this side, to make sure they touch so that it's a nice corner. And then I will do the last one. All right. So these are the ones that I left plain. I left those without pattern paper. The ones on the outside, I used the same paper as this. They are 1 3/8 by 5 1/2, but because we added paper to our square, our chipboard, it does get a little bit larger. I don't like that piece of paper. So I left it at 5 1/2, and it covers it just right. I don't like that little piece that's hanging there. There we go. Oopsie, sorry. Woo. I haven't been drinking, I promise. So yeah, 1 3/8 by 5 1/2 is what mine are, and I like that. So again, if you want to ink your edges, you can. I chose not to this time. Like I said, normally I do, but on a project like this, when I give it away, I don't know if they're going to keep it or not, so I'm not going to go to all that extra work. All right, and you're going to do all 4 sides the same way, 1 3/8 by 5 1/2. So I have all 4 sides done. I'm going to move this off to the side and not work with that for a little bit. And I'm going to move on to the side pieces that have the windows. You're going to need 2 pieces of paper. One is 8 by 12 and one is 8 by 11. Okay, 8 by 12 and 8 by 11. So let me talk to you about the scoring. We're going to take the 8 by 11 piece, place it in your scoreboard so that the 11 inches is across the top, and score at 5 1/2. And that's all the scoring you're going to do on that one. Then place the 8 by 12 in your scoreboard. You're going to score at 1/2. Oopsie, hit my finger. 6 and 11 1/2. Half, 6, 11 1/2. Okay. Oopsie. I'm going to go ahead and burnish my score marks. All right, and I am going to lightly miter those 1/2 inch pieces. Cutting them at an angle. Okay, so that the 1/2 inch looks like that on the end. So before we do any gluing and cutting of the windows, it's easiest if you put pattern paper on first. So you are these pages for the pattern paper, you are going to need, let me double check here, 5 3/8 by 7 7/8. So if yours is pattern, you got to be careful. If there's a directional pattern, 5 3/8 by 7 7/8. So you're going to need 4 of them. Again, I did not do the inside, just the outside. So 4 pieces. Let me say it one more time. 5 3/8 by 7 7/8. So cut 4 and then glue those onto these 2 pieces and then these 2 pieces. All right, here's the 2 pieces that we've done so far. So what's going to happen is you're going to be attaching this to the 1/2 inch here, like so, and then you'll connect the other piece to the other 1/2 inch, and that's what's going to form our box. Okay, now we do want to cut out the square so that we can put in the acetate so you can see the popcorn or whatever it is that you're putting on the inside. So the lid of my box, this is 1 inch. So I want to make sure my window goes down lower than 1 inch so you can see the whole thing. So I'm choosing to go 1 1/2 because I have these spacers from Country Craft Creations that make it really easy. So I'm going to place this at the top of my paper, make sure my paper's directional, so okay. I'm going to place this here, and then the rest I'm going to kind of eyeball. So here's what I'm going to do. Here's my 4 by 4 inch template. I'm going to place that up against the 1 1/2 inch spacer, and then I'm going to eyeball that this side and this side are equal. Okay, I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to outline, oopsie, I'm going to outline the template so I know where to cut. Okay, and the top, I'm just going to use my spacer here. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to place the template up against the 1 1/2 inch guide. I'm going to draw a line on the 3 sides of my template. And then I will use the guide to do the top. So it should look like that. Go ahead and do that to your other piece also. So this is the 12-inch piece. I make sure it's the right direction. Oh no, it's a good thing I checked. I had it upside down. All right, so sure that's all the way to the top. Now ignore the 1/2 inch when you're centering the 4 by 4 square. So I'm pretending like that's not there and just making sure that this is the same width as the other side. And top. One more time. Looks about right. Now if you have a die, you could totally line it up, a square die, and put that through your cutting machine. Or you could, I don't know how you do the Cricut. I'm not good at the Cricut, so I don't know. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I wouldn't know how to do it. Okay, so then I have my squares there. And now we need to cut them out. I'm going to use an X-Acto knife, or a blade, and a metal ruler. And I'm just going to place the metal ruler up against the line. I'm going to take my cutting blade and go over that line. I don't want to go higher or lower than the line. Okay. And I can go back and do it again if I need to. Line that up. One more side, and then I may have to go back and cut all the way through on some pieces. All right, so yep, I'm gonna have to, looks like I have a corner I need to go through. There we go. There's a little piece here. So you'll have your window. Now, at this point, you can, I did put a little bit of ink on the edge here. I would use black because I'm using black paper. You don't have to. I didn't ink anything else, but for some reason I felt like I should ink this square. So do that to all 4 pieces. Cut out all 4 windows, the 4x4s. Once you have the 4 squares cut out, it's time to put on the acetate. Now you don't have to do acetate if you don't want to. If you want to keep them open, you can. If you're going to put something in the cart that it's enclosed in a bag or something, then you don't need to. If you have some sort, like I have old overhead transparencies because I teach school, I could use that. If you have some sort of packaging that has that clear, it might be a little bit thicker, but whatever you want to use. I bought the I have the 12 by 12 sheets of acetate from Country Craft Creations. Now because our square is 4x4, I cut the acetate at 4.5 by 4.5, maybe just a hair bigger. And what you're going to do then is you're going to line the square with, I used 1/4 inch score tape, and you put it right up against the opening. And you're going to do this to all 4 if you're doing the acetate. Right up against the cut. Okay. And go ahead and burnish that down so that the tape adheres real well. So then I'm just going to take a piece of my 4.5 by 4.5. It might, as long as it's close. So I kept the paper on there. I just want to make sure that that's going to work, and it does. So now I can remove the backing of the score tape. Okay, now I'm going to take the backing off just so I can see that I'm putting it in the right spot. And make sure that you adhere that down. If you have any left over, like I have just a little piece of score tape here, I don't want that to get caught on the bag I put in, so I want to roll off any excess. Okay, and it looks like so. So do that to all 4 windows. I'm going to connect the pieces now for the side of the cart, and I'm going to take this 1/2 inch piece and I'm going to place it underneath the other piece, and I'm going to line it up. Don't go over the score so that it can still bend easily. Okay, so we'll do one side first. So I'm going to place glue on this 1/2 inch strip. And again, if your paper is directional, be careful that I'm going to turn this upside down. It's just easier for me to work with. Right up against there. And press down. I had a boo-boo there. I kind of cut into my paper, so you won't have that. All right, and before I attach this, I do want to set it inside of my base to make sure that it is correct. So if I place these 4 sides in, yep, it's going to be, mine will fit just fine. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and glue, bend this over. And I'm going to place this on top. And burnish it down. All right, now I will tell you that on my other one, I did not glue this inside of here. I just set it in there. You can totally put glue on the inside edges and then slide this in and then, you know, push it so that it sticks. But for now, I'm not going to glue mine. I'm going to leave it separate. Okay, so you can decide if you want to glue yours together. So now we still need the lid. This is what we have so far. So now let's work on the lid. You're going to need a piece of cardstock that is 7 5/8 by 7 5/8. And we're going to score it at 1 inch on all 4 sides. So you'll score at 1 inch. You'll make 1 turn, score at 1 inch, make another turn, so that you do it a total of 4 times. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and burnish my score marks. Okay, now on my other lid, I did put paper on the top and on the outsides, and then I did put it on the insides also. The lid was big enough that if I put pattern paper on it, still fit okay. So you're going to need to cut some of your pattern paper in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut just like I did on the base piece. Let me find my pin and turn. Let's see. If I were a pin for my glue, where would I be? I don't know where oh, there it is. Okay. We're going to go ahead and cut up where the square is in the corner. We're going to cut up to the first score line, and then we're going to end up tapering so that it folds nice and neat. Okay, now I can't find my scissors. Oh, right here. Okay. So straight up, I'm going to go just to the inside of the score so you don't see that bump. And I'm just releasing the square. Do that to all 4 corners. Go straight up till you get to the score to release the corner. Now look at it the opposite side. Do the same thing. All right, so now we have the 4 corners released. Now we're going to miter just like we did before. So it looks like that. Do that to all 4 corners. Okay, so that's what you have. And I'm going to put the pattern paper on the top and the insides. So the measurements for your pattern paper, this would be 5.5 by 5.5 on this side and this side, because you do want a little bit of a border. And if these are 1 inch, you want 7/8, and I should have written this down. If this is, it's about 5.5. I would do 5.5 first. So do 7/8 by 5.5 for your outside and inside sides. So that's 8 pieces. 8 at 7/8 by 5.5 and 2 at 5.5 by 5.5. And only glue the top part on, the top center, and the insides, because again I'm going to wrap the tab to the outside so you don't see the line where they meet. I ended up shaving it off a little bit. 5.5 by 5.5 was a hair too big, so I did go 5 3/8 by 5 3/8. This is 7/8 by, I did 5 3/8. So I did the inside and I did the outside center. So now I'm going to put glue on my tabs and glue them to the outside. So you put glue on the inside of the tab, and you're going to bring it up and over, and again you want to form a very tight corner, and then press that down. Okay. Again, you put the glue on the inside of the tab. Bring the tab to the outside. Kind of pinch it for a second. Burnish that. And do that to all 4 corners, just like we did the base. I'm just pressing down to make sure it's adhered real well. Again, if the little glue comes out, it's okay. It's going to be covered by pattern paper. And then this last tab. So I have my 7/8 inch pieces, and these are still cut at 5.5. So if I do 5.5, no, that's not 5.5. Let me do 5.5. And on the outside, I think I don't want it 5 3/8, and I don't want it 5.5. So I'm going to go right in between those two measurements. So about 5/16, I think. That's the measurement I'm going to like best. This is a hair too long at 5.5 and too short at 5 3/8. You have a little bit of extra because of the tab going around. It adds just a little bit of paper on the edge. So you decide which measurement you like best, but I'm going 5 5/16. Okay, so decorating wise, I put my box together. I have these in my stash. They're little wood, what's it say, finial caps. So I took one of these and I just painted it pink, and I'm going to glue that on top of the lid in the center, just so it's easier to take on and off. So that's going to be on the top. And then I did some fussy cutting of some of the balloons, and after I glued them together, I put some twine coming down, and then I had a bow, and I'm going to attach that. Oops, I'm going to attach that to the side here. Okay, and then I'm going to place this bow on the lid in the center. So after you've got all your things made, you can start decorating and embellishing. We still have to do the wheels, and on my other example that I had, the wheels I happen to have, I mean, what are the chances I had wood wheels? So we're going to use pinwheels that we make by scoring at every 1/2 inch. So you're going to need 4 wheels, and you need 2 strips for each. So you're going to need 8 that measure 1.5 by 12. 8 that measure 1.5 by 12, those strips, and then we'll score it every 1/2 inch, and those will become our wheels. So let me get my paper ready, let me glue on some of my decorations, and then we'll do the wheels. All right, so you need 1.5 by 12. I have 8 of them. You're going to go at every 1/2 inch, so 1/2, 1, 1.5, 2, so forth until you get all the way to the end. Every 1/2, 4.5, 5. We'll do this to every one, and then we're going to combine 2 of them together to make 1 wheel. We'll do an accordion fold here. All right, so we're going to do an accordion fold so it looks like this. So just go back and forth on your score marks, and it doesn't have to be perfect, because by the time we glue it on our round disc, it's not going to matter if it's perfect. So just go back and forth, fanning it on the scores. That one, there we go. All right, so then once you have 2 of them, you're going to connect the 2 by overlapping them, and we're going to glue those 2 pieces together. So I'm going to put glue and overlap right there and connect them. So I'm going to put glue on the inside of this one, just on that 1/2 inch piece. I'm going to slide it over this one. Pinch it together. Get rid of any excess glue. Okay, and then you have 1 long strand. All right, so you have 4 of those. So now you're going to need some sort of round disc. It can be lightweight chipboard, it could be heavyweight chipboard, because we're going to end up gluing the wheel onto the disc for stability. And so I'm going to use a hot glue gun for that, so that it dries quickly. So let me get my glue gun warmed up, and then I'll show you how to put that down on the round disc. I'm thinking that my disc will be about 1 inch in diameter. All right, let's finish the wheel. I looked all over for, I thought I had circular like wood pieces that I could glue this onto, and I don't, but I have hearts. So you got to use what you've got. So this is like a piece of wood, but you could use heavyweight chipboard, and I didn't have anything to cut out a circle out of chipboard, so I'm making do with this. So we had combined the 2 pieces together to make 1 long, but now we need to combine it so that it makes a circle. So I'm going to add some glue here now, and I also have my glue gun heating up. So I'm going to connect this and press down. Give it a second to dry before I work with it. This is what it's going to turn out to look like. That's the wheel. And see, I just have that heart on the back. All right. Again, make sure it's dry, because you're going to be pinwheels are not the easiest for me. I struggle with them a little bit, So the last thing I need is to have the glue not set and then have to deal with that too. So I want to make sure that I give it plenty of time. So then I'm going to place hot glue from my glue gun all over this heart. I'm going to get this ready, and I'll show you that in a second, and then I'm going to pick this up and put it onto the heart. Okay, so decide what side you want on the outside, and then you push them all to the center. See, here we go. I'm going to take the opposite sides, pinch two together, and then bring them down towards the center. There we go. This is so hard for me, and I don't know why. This isn't right. Oh, I have a bunch of mistakes. Okay, let's try that again. Okay. All right, I want to spread them out pretty evenly. So see, I'm getting it. Keep it pushed together so that the center all meets. Like I said, I'm going to try and spread them out evenly. Now I'm going to place hot glue on this whole heart so that it dries quickly. And this glue gun is so hot. Ooh, you gotta be careful. All right, I'm gonna sit for a second. Now I gotta pick this up carefully, ooh, and bring it over onto the heart. Got it. And then I'm gonna press down, give it a chance to dry. Now the one thing we have to consider also when we're putting this on the popcorn carts, you want to try and get the wheels as level or as equal as possible so that it's not wiggling back and forth. Okay, it's probably about dry. So let's flip that over. Ta-da! Okay. So now I do need to put something in the center here because you don't want that little hole showing. So like that. I don't like that little hole. So I'm going to find something to place on top of that. I do have some hearts, but pink hearts, but I don't know that pink hearts are appropriate for what we're doing. Let me do some checking and I'll find something to glue in the center. All right, I did end up doing pink hearts. That's all I could find. So I glued some pink acrylic hearts on the top. So now this is where you have to be careful because you want it to, you don't want your wheels to be cattywampus and that it will wiggle back and forth. So I'm going to place glue on one side. Okay. And I'm going to place one where I think it should go. I want to be able to see this New Year's Eve party. Okay, give that a chance to dry. And now this is an eyeball game. I want to make sure that this one has the same amount down here at the bottom so that it is the same amount sticking off to the side and at the bottom. So it'll be about like that. Okay, so now I'm going to place glue on the other end and pray for the best. And I gotta eyeball this closer to me. So that's what I have so far. Please let these be even. Okay, so now I'm going to take my box and turn it the other way and try it again. Try and get them as even as possible. And this one says New Year's Eve here too, so hopefully that'll be a good guide. You know what, I'm going to take this off and just work with this. And then once I get it to glue, I'll set it up to make sure they're equal. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, so now glue over here. And I'm going to eyeball it. This wheel seems bigger to me. And I'm just going to hold that for a second. And now the last one should be the easiest one to put on, because I got the other three hopefully somewhat level. And I want the same amount sticking off. So it's close, it's not perfect. I might have these a little bit closer than those, I don't know. Okay, and now I have to decide which side I like the front of better. I think I like this side better. I'm going to put this back in there again. Again, you can glue that if you want. You can decorate the top lid more if you want. And let me show you, I'll try and hold it so you can see the end result. Let me see if I can zoom out. That didn't really work, did it? That's a little bit better. So there's the end cart. And then, like I said, I'd get like a cellophane bag or a clear bag, fill it with popcorn, and then take the lid off and put that popcorn inside. I might go back and put something on the top also, just to add some of the ephemera pieces. But that is my New Year's Eve crop project for all of you. I hope you found it to be easy and cute at the same time. I hope all of you have a great 2022. Continue to visit us at countrycraftcreations.com and Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations on Facebook. So Happy New Year, everybody, and I will see you soon.